Hey, Dietrich College students, this is Joe Battolini. Thank you for tuning in. I'm a Dietrich College career consultant in the Career and Professional Development Center.
And hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Stanton, and I am also your Dietrich College career consultant.
And thank you again for tuning in for this video on career exploration tools and strategies. We'll try to make this a fairly short 20-25 minute video for you. But just so you know, as we go through, feel free to work through the activities as we go along, or down in the description box below of this video, you'll see that we've included all the links to this presentation, as well as the resources that we're about to share with you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, thanks, Joe. So today we're going to cover some important topics in your journey of self-discovery and career exploration. We'll start by examining the relationship between majors and careers, and then we'll ask you to work through some exercises that will help you to prioritize your values and translate your interests into possible career paths. I'll then show you some tools and resources that can help you to explore those careers even further. Next, Joe will demonstrate how to find and connect with professional contacts, alumni, and even other students to continue researching and exploring your job options. And then finally, we'll present opportunities for you to share your story and provide you with a toolkit to continue your journey after this workshop has ended today. So before we begin, I'd like to ask you to take just a moment to reflect on what brought you to this presentation and what you hope to learn. You can even write down a few short-term goals for what you hope to accomplish in the next 30 minutes or so. And then if we aren't able to meet these goals in this short amount of time, I'd really encourage you to schedule an appointment with Joe or with myself through Handshake so that we can assist you on a more personal level. All right, so to kick things off, we're going to start with a guessing game. So I'm going to show you a few well-known celebrities, executives, or alumni. And based on their current career, I'll ask you to guess their college major. All right, so we're going to start with Jerry. Jerry Bruckheimer is a film and television producer. His credits include Flashdance, Top Gun, Pirates of the Caribbean, and The Amazing Race. All right, so take a second, guess Jerry's major, and big reveal. Psychology. So Jerry was not a theater major, was not a writing major. Jerry was a psychology major. Next up. All right, we have Alex Karp. Alex is the CEO of Palantir Technologies. Palantir is a company that was recently listed on the NASDAQ. It specializes in big data analytics. And its CEO, Alex Karp, majored in, drumroll, philosophy. All right, so I wonder how many of you guessed philosophy. Last up is a CMU alum, Leslie Robertson. Leslie is currently the Vice President of Software Development at Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Take a second, guess Leslie's major, and big reveal, professional and creative writing. I'd be willing to bet that not many of you got that one. But it just goes to show that your major does not define your future, right? So according to one study by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, only 27% of college grads work in a field that's related to your major. Now, this doesn't mean that your major isn't important, but it really is just the starting point. It doesn't represent the end when it comes to choosing a career. You know, but that said, what should you focus on when you're choosing a major? Well, I'd recommend that you choose a major that allows you to play to your strengths. You also want to think about developing your personal brand. So when you're interviewing for an internship, you'll often be asked why you chose your major. Sometimes you'll even just be asked by the recruiter to tell me about yourself. So you want to be able to authentically articulate why you chose to study what you did. Was it driven by interest, driven by a passion? Is it because it's something that you're really good at? Or maybe it does relate to an eventual career path. But this is part of your story, your personal brand, and what makes you unique. If you pick a major that interests you, you will be sure to get something out of it. And then you're going to take that one step further with some real life experience. So internships, informational interviews, research, volunteer work. These are the types of experiences that can really help you to bridge your major to your career.
Okay, so now that we understand the potential for any chosen major or degree pathway, we're going to talk about the 4 specific steps that you can take in order to identify potential pathways. And so the first step is to know yourself, or better understand specifically your skills, your interests, your personality, and how that might align with actual options. The second step would be to explore and further investigate those careers. The third step is to connect with others, whether it's a professional in your field or a peer who's pursuing similar goals, making sure to connect. And then the final 4th step is to share your story. And so these are 4 exploration strategies that we recommend. So what does this all mean specifically? Well, we'll share and tell you how. So here's the first step. The first step is to know yourself. And in order to better understand yourself, we recommend completing a mapping exercise, maybe even completing the values inventory exercise, and also the MBTI or STRONG assessments, which are available for free at no charge through the Career Center. So if you were to contact myself or Kristen, we can send you the STRONG and MBTI links that you can create and complete on your own time. All right, so what does this actually mean? We're going to take you through each of these exercises, the first one being the mapping exercise and the second values inventory. And as I mentioned earlier, all of these links and tools are located down below in the description box, so you're able to download and complete these tools on your own time. So let me stop my slides here and actually show you how to work through these tools. So on your screen now, you should see the first exercise, which is mapping, or better described as a decision tree. And essentially what this is requiring you to do is to think about what you already know about yourself, your interests specifically. So whether you like music or you're really interested in social justice issues, whatever that topic might be, what we're recommending is that you put that interest in the first top box on the screen or in your map. And as you think about the interests, so social justice as our first example, what you want to do is consider what sectors or industries or types of organizations actually work to influence social justice causes. And so what we share with you on the screen is nonprofit agencies as well as educational institutions. Those are both major drivers and influencers in the social justice space. And the next step, take a little bit further within your decision tree, is think about nonprofit agencies, but who specifically or what types of organizations are nonprofits that work in the social justice space. So as I found here, you'll see City of Philadelphia as an example, as well as the American Civil Liberties Union. So one happens to be a city local government, and the other is an actual think tank or political advocacy organization. And what you'll notice here is down below the associated jobs that are listed on those actual career pages for each organization. So for the City of Philadelphia, if you want to get involved at a government level with social justice, you could become a community engagement manager for economic justice. Or as a similar idea for the ACLU on the right-hand side, they currently have listed a marketing associate, a technology fellow position, even being a campaign strategist. So those are all currently available options for getting more involved in social justice. But if we reflect back on our second option, the entire education sector really works to better influence and elevate different social justice causes. So they do that in a number of ways. So if we look at Penn State University as an example, you'll notice that Penn State currently has an assistant director of diversity inclusion role currently available. So again, this is just kind of a creative way to brainstorm how those interests align with organizations as well as potential job titles. Now, just as an example, I'm going to share with you music. So let's say you have a different interest or hobby. This works the same way with any idea that you can think of. So same idea with music, you want to think about what drives the music industry. So that could be a streaming platform, maybe magazines or news publications, record labels. as you'll see on this handout here. And down below each of those sectors, you want to list the companies that align with those platforms. So for streaming, you have Spotify and YouTube. And for record labels, you have Sony Music Entertainment. And just as we showed you before, we have these positions that are currently available on the Spotify website, YouTube, as well as Sony Music Entertainment. So depending on your major or your interest, you could become, for Sony, a client analyst, maybe a marketing representative, social media. For YouTube, you could work within policy escalation, maybe as a web engineer, a content strategist, podcasting for Spotify, even a data scientist, analyst for Spotify, and market research. So again, there are a lot of creative ways you can leverage your interest in your degrees with any type of given company. All right, so the next tool or exercise we want to show is the values inventory that we mentioned earlier. And again, this is a tool that you can download on your own time and complete, but essentially the values exercise helps you to determine what your top 3 values are. And based on those values, that helps you to recognize or better understand what you do and don't want out of life, out of a career, based on what drives you as a person. All right, so those are some helpful tools on that screen. So let's go back to our presentation here. All right, here we go. Step 2.
All right, so step 2 is exploring these careers in a little more detail. And as a CMU student, you have access to several tools and resources right at your fingertips that can make career exploration both easy and maybe even fun. So I'm going to show you where to find these tools and briefly explain how to use them. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so the first tool I'm going to show you is ONET. And if you go to the CPDC website, which is just cmu.edu/career, and then go to students and alumni, browse resources, and then scroll down to resources by college. All right, so you'll see that under Dietrich College, Joe and I have compiled a list of tools that can help you with many job-related tasks, including career exploration. But under the career exploration section, you'll find ONET online. Okay, so ONET is a great tool to use in conjunction with the strong interest inventory that Joe mentioned earlier in the presentation. After you take the strong, you'll receive a 3-letter code that's associated with your list of recommended careers. Each of those careers are able to be searched in this database. So you enter your code right here, and it'll pull up more detail about each of those careers for you to further research and explore. You can also find and browse by occupation, do advanced searches, and really there's a lot of other information for you here on the ONET database. Another tool that I want to show you that's in that same section on your website, and I think is maybe a little more intuitive and easy to use, is called My Next Move. My Next Move, get back to the beginning here. There we go. So My Next Move allows you to search by keyword, browse by industry, or if you're really not sure what you want to do and can't even come up with a keyword or industry, then you can start by taking this interest inventory and get career suggestions recommended to you. So just as an example, I'll go ahead and show you. Let's say I choose media and communication for my industry of interest. And then I go to browse. So this is going to bring up several different job titles within that industry. And if I choose to drill down even further, let's say I go to producers. All right, so I have the ability to watch a video. The website tells me the KSAs, or knowledge, skills, and abilities that I'll need to become a producer. It tells me about certain personality types that are common in producers, technology that I might need to learn, and it even gives you a little bit of information about what type of degrees you'd need, what the job outlook is, including salary, and resources for exploring even further. Okay, so this is a great website. Next, I'm going to show you our outcomes data. So this is something that Joe and I collect every year for each graduating class. And they represent what students like you have reported as their first destination following graduation from CMU. So back on our website, if I go to the outcomes tab and then scroll down, you'll see I can search by post-grad outcomes, which is for the graduating seniors. I can also look at internship outcomes. But for today's demo, we're going to go here. And I will mention that even though this data is self-reported, we typically have a response rate above 90%. So it's really pretty useful. So scrolling down, for the purpose of today's demo, I'm going to choose to filter by 2019, the most recent year we have on the website. I'll go ahead and select Dietrich for my college. And then let's choose social and decision sciences for the department. Now you can filter these any way that you want to. Okay, but with those filters, you can see that last year, almost 70% of students were employed. And then scrolling down further, I can see not only where they were employed, but what their job title is. So this is great for brainstorming, for getting ideas, and also going a step further, you can take these employer names and job titles and Google them. You'll get a job description. And then once you do, you can read the job description to determine if that role is one that you might be interested in. You can also review the qualifications to see if there are skills that you might need to acquire before you graduate. Keep in mind that many students in Dietrich specifically do have secondary majors that can affect their career choices. But this is still a great starting point if you're curious about what's possible and where students have successfully found employment in the past. All right, next I'm going to show you one of my favorite tools, which is Career Shift. So Career Shift is something that you have access to in Handshake. If you were to go to Career Center and then Resources, you'll see Career Shift pop up right here, okay? And you'll need to create a login using your Andrew ID. But once you do, and you're inside of Career Shift, you're able to search companies to do company research, contacts, where you can actually search specific contacts located in companies. So you can search for recruiters, you can search for, if you're looking to become a product manager, you can search for product managers. And Career Shift is really powerful because it actually gives you email addresses for these people. And finally, you can even search the job board in Career Shift. So there's a full job board that has really powerful filters. Okay, so that's Career Shift. And then lastly, don't forget the library. So the Hunt Library has a page of tools that are specifically there to assist you in your job search, including databases like Hoover's, which will allow you to do some really deep research into companies and industries. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Kristen. So now we're going to go back to our slides. So one moment, please. All right, so now that we know how to find actual job descriptions, job titles, what those options could entail, we're going to start talking about our next step in the exploration strategy, which is connecting with others. And so what I mean by connecting with others is specifically further testing and investigating the ideas that you've been brainstorming up until this point. And so as an example, let's pretend that you want to be a language interpreter. So the idea for you, or recommendation, is to find an actual language interpreter who's in the profession, who could answer your questions, provide advice about how they got to be where they are today. So specifically finding people who can answer the questions that you see on the screen here. So what were their jobs? What were their courses? What skills or pathways did they choose to get to where they are today? So those are the types of questions that you want to ask as you further explore down the road, okay? So what we're going to share with you now is a list of resources that you see on the screen here that will take you through for actually finding these individuals. So one is Handshake, which you all have access to now. LinkedIn, as well as the CMU alumni community. Okay, so let me pop out of my slides and take you to these demos. All right, and so the first one was Handshake, and specifically it's the Handshake peer messaging system. And when you're logged on at the top of your dashboard, what you're gonna do is click on students. And when you come here, this is what you'll see on the screen. Okay, so with this dashboard, what you'll notice is currently students are CMU specific. However, this is a platform that can be used for any student across the country who have a Handshake platform or account. So you not only can search for senior students, but maybe a student at Howard University, maybe Penn State University, wherever you're trying to target, this is accessible across the country. And so what you can do with this peer messaging platform is find specific students or peers who are a major of interest or doing particular experiences that relate to what your goals may be, whether it's a major or a past internship, maybe a future job. And what you'll notice on the left-hand screen is you can actually filter down based on those options. Okay, so if you're looking for a senior, you can choose senior versus alumni. You can choose based on major, whether it's business or psychology and so forth. So a lot of ways to go about filtering down students. And under this section for previous employers, you can also choose based on where these individuals have worked in the past. And so once you filter down and make your choices, I would recommend coming back to the beginning of your screen and seeing what those search results entail. So for example, if you're looking at this student here, this may be a junior that you want to reach out to for advice about his time working for a specific company, or maybe about his major pathway. So various ways that you can actually use the system to connect and message other students. All right, so that's the Handshake peer messaging platform. And the second tool that I mentioned earlier is LinkedIn. Many of you may have a LinkedIn profile already, which is great. Now, there are a couple things you can do on LinkedIn for finding professionals that you can connect with, but the primary way to go about it is through the Carnegie Mellon LinkedIn alumni tool on LinkedIn. So what you'll do to find that platform page is simply type in Carnegie Mellon University in the search box and going to the school's LinkedIn page. So here you are. And when I scroll down, you'll notice a button called Alumni that you'll want to click on. And it's going to show you 94,000 alumni across the world who have a LinkedIn profile. Now, of course, that's way too many to look through. So what you want to do is actually filter down these options based on keywords, your interest, maybe companies of interest, whatever you have been brainstorming up until this point, you can search within the search box here. Or if you notice it down below, you can also click on these filter tags. So as an example, what I'll do is type in the word writer. So let's pretend you are trying to find other writers or writing professionals in the field if you are interested in writing. And I will search that keyword. And the next step is you can filter down by location. So let's say I want to find other writing professionals in New York City specifically. So there you go. So based on those search options, it's going to show you 500 alumni who are in New York City as writers, who are currently writers, or maybe used to be writers. And when I scroll down, it's going to show you that it has refiltered based on where these people are currently working. So W.W. Norton, some are working for higher education institutions, various corporations. And if you keep scrolling down, it'll show you those actual people. And so this is pretty powerful as you think about it. So when it comes time to actually connect with others, the idea is to find someone who most closely aligns with what you're looking for. And when you find that person, clicking on their connect button and sending them a message for why you're connecting, what you hope to discuss, and some kind of call to action about what you hope to talk about. Okay, so that's how you would connect to learn more. But again, this can be pretty overwhelming and a little nerve-wracking to reach out to complete strangers, even alumni. So again, feel free to contact me or Kristen, and we can actually walk you through this platform. And then finally, our third platform I recommended earlier is the CMU alumni community. If you were just to Google CMU alumni community, this link will pop up in your search results and it'll bring you to this page. Now, when you're here, the button that you want to look for is called directory. So if I go ahead and click on directory in the top, it's going to bring you to this page where you can log in with your Andrew ID credentials. So just as I showed you before, this system is pretty similar to LinkedIn and the other tools. Once you log in, you can actually filter down by location or the type of professional that you're looking for. So again, just another option to find individuals who could help you. All right, so that's how you can connect with others. So let's turn our focus back to our presentation here. 1 second. All right, there we go.
Great, thanks, Joe. And in addition to sharing your story during informational interviews you've set up on your own, the CPDC also organizes events to help connect you to employers and alumni. Tartan Talks is an informational interviewing program that allows you to match with alumni who have volunteered their time to talk to students. So this is nice because it takes some of the guesswork out of who to contact and removes some of the anxiety around cold calling or cold emailing. Take a Tartan to Work is our job shadowing program. And then that allows you to request to shadow an alum working in one of many industries across the country. Job shadowing will typically take place during winter break and also spring break. Unfortunately, this is 2020 and we won't be able to run the program this year due to the coronavirus, but hopefully we'll be back by fall of 2021. And information about both of these programs can be found on the CPDC website. Many of you may have attended Fall Encompass, but if you missed it, or if you'd just like another chance to network with employers, Encompass also happens every spring, typically in January or February. Details can be found in Handshake under your Fairs tab for all of our career fairs. And then lastly, if you're interested in learning more about companies or industries, but you don't particularly enjoy doing online research, we host hundreds of info sessions with employers each month. And these are also all in Handshake. So if you go to Handshake, click the events tab and make it a habit to check that maybe once a week, you'll find a lot of different company sessions that you can attend. And finally, we'd like to leave you with something so that you can continue your exploration after this workshop. Some of the most important and well-known books to be written recently on the topic of career exploration, including You Majored in What and What Color is Your Parachute, College Edition, were written by Catherine Brooks. Dr. Brooks is at Vanderbilt University, and she's recently published a career exploration toolkit based on the principles in her books. She's made this available to you free of charge. And so I'd highly recommend that you follow the 4D roadmap laid out for you in her toolkit as a next step. It'll take you through some of the same concepts we discussed today, but in more detail and of course on your own time. So here's the link to access that toolkit. But if for some reason you aren't able to access it, please feel free to email me or email Joe and we can definitely send you a copy.
Okay, so we made it to this point. That was a lot of information, we know. So you may need time to brainstorm or think through all the resources and tools that we've been sharing and providing for you. So where do we go from here? What are the next steps with this information? Well, I would say first and foremost, schedule an appointment with me and Kristen, and we can talk about your mapping exercise. Again, look through and interpret your MBTI or strong assessment results, or even helping you connect with professionals who could help you further. So either way, just starting with a conversation with us to help you move forward. And then also researching and joining relevant courses and student organizations that match the interests that you've been brainstorming or exploring. So as an example, if you come to decide that technology really interests you, that's great, making sure to use the CMU Bridge to see what kind of technology clubs or organizations are available on campus to join. So the whole idea is to really choose courses and pathways and activities that align with your ultimate goal. Also emailing Kristen and myself again with the strong interest inventory request. We can send you the links directly. Usually these tests take about 45 minutes a piece, not too long. And as soon as you're done, we can share the results with you afterwards. And then third, making sure to take time on LinkedIn or Handshake jobs board or the Indeed.com jobs board platform, looking through potential descriptions for internships or even full-time jobs, really get a better understanding of what your ideas entail. What are the requirements for a marketing professional or a writing professional, or maybe even a software developer. So making sure to take time to read through those potential job descriptions. And once you have a better understanding, that next step would be to make a resume, meet with us, let us help you target potential jobs to apply for, whether that's a micro internship or even a summer internship. Those are great ways to really and truly test the waters. So better understanding what you do like and what you don't like through an internship. All right, so when it's all said and done, let's say you're going through all the resources and tools that we're providing and sharing today. 3 years from now, what should you be able to do based on this information? Well, our hope here for you today is that 3 years from now, you will be able to identify potential professionals within your field, as well as your professional interests specifically. And second, we hope that 3 years from today, you'll be able to pursue those pathways in accordance with your academic interests, your personal values and skill sets, really making sure you have a good understanding of how your personal traits align with pathways. Third, we hope by the end of this presentation or process over the next couple of years that you will have established a network of professionals that you can consider as role models, individuals who can help you, whether it's a student or a peer or a professional within your field. And then lastly, making sure that you have a clear professional brand, being able to convey your experience and goals to employers, whether that's through interviewing or networking. So these are the 4 items that we are hoping for you by completing the processes that we shared with you today. But that brings us to the end of our presentation. We do appreciate you taking time to watch and listen. Again, let us know how we can help you with these activities. So thank you very much for watching.